Good morning, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, to these mini PD sessions. And after a long winter break, I think it's time for us to share some more best practice. So the session that I propose today is based on a session that I deliver for the GL Pass conference, and it's going to be based on a case study that we have implemented here in our school, Jumeirah Baccalaureate School. And keep in mind that the effects of the pandemic are being devastating with the students, with the teenagers. What about discussing about how can we improve the students' well-being? What can we do in schools to develop or to improve the self-esteem of the students and to have them engaged and facing these complexities of the pandemic in a positive way? So what we've done in our school is to use the data for PASS and GL to improve students' well-being. So what I would like to do is to share with you our experience and just give some hints on what did we do and what were the positive effects of the implementation of certain aspects in terms of education here in our school. So as an overall picture, ideas and things that can be done in addition to reflecting on how things could be better in each school, maybe having a look first at the mission, vision, and the core values of the school, and review them and rephrase them and revamp them, making sure that well-being is a cornerstone of this mission and vision. What we did is to introduce character education, which is a vision of education proposed by the Jubilee Center of the University of Birmingham, where the development of character and certain virtues becomes a specific aspect of the school ethos. Then review the recruitment policy, maybe, and making sure that the people we hire and the professionals that will be working with us really understand and commit to the school philosophy. And of course, providing professional development sessions to support our colleagues in putting strategies in place to improve students' well-being and having students' well-being as a priority. So why did we use PASS, which is the pupils' attitudes to self and school? Because PASS allows us to analyze 9 attitudinal factors which are based on students' behavior. You have the 9 factors in there, which are divided in attitudes, strategies, and the way in which we can drive that. So once a year, we have our students sitting those PASS tests. And the results of those tests are being analyzed by our leadership team, and decisions are being taken depending on the results of those tests. Just to share with you, just an example, in 2017, these were the results of the PASS tests across the school. And we realized that we have low results in the feelings about the school amongst our students. Their self-regard as learners, their attitudes to attendance, and their responses to curriculum demands. These results were a concern to us, and we wanted to make sure that we're doing something to address those points, and discussions led to the implementation of several little strategies. So what were those strategies? Well, we discussed about the possibility of developing effective teaching practices. So basically what we mean by that is to reinforce the building relationships between students and teachers, creating and maintaining a productive classroom culture, and providing, of course, cognitive challenge across the subjects. We wanted to develop those teacher-students relations because we thought that there was a way to improve also the learner confidence. And automatically this will also directly affect students' engagement and students' attitudes towards their own learning. We wanted to also advocate at school, make sure that the students can identify themselves with an adult. It can be the school counselor, but it can be anybody else, the home, the tutor, the form tutor, any member of the school community, so the students can have and build a positive relationship with an adult. We of course want high expectations for success. So make sure that students do their best at school. Thinking that if the relations student-teachers improve, students will be working for the teachers. And this is very important in terms of developing engagement. And of course, we also develop student voice by empowering learning. And empowering learning can be done by giving students the ownership of the learning process. And if you don't really know how to do that, I invite you to have a look at other mini PD sessions in my channel where we discuss ways of having students developing this ownership by, I don't know, maybe looking at the assessment practices, or students allowed to say something about deadlines, about timetabling, about assessment practices in the school. Will that make them feel the owners of the learning process? Just something to discuss and see to what extent this can work. More things that we have those effective teaching practices that are being developed into a more skill-based lessons where we focus on the development of certain skills, in this case self-management and social-emotional, because we're talking about the students' well-being. And finally, we also focus on the improvement of the learning support provided to the students, and in particular the EAL students, and how we can help them to develop their social and emotional learning by developing also the verbal skills. And the results for the SEND students as well as EAL students can be seen in these percentages that I've just put here to support the ideas. And what you can see is just development amongst EAL students in terms of results after implementing this support putting in place. So as you can see, in 2017 there were very low and very important points to take into consideration in terms of feelings about college. And a couple of years later, the results have drastically improved. So that means that the strategies implemented really worked. These are the main strategies, as we said, and I'm repeating a couple of them which are extremely important: the advocating for school, the well-being sessions, the counseling process, the homeroom relations, the development of character education, and finally, the ownership of learning, as we mentioned before, having students representatives, having a contextualized learning with the learning is adapted to real-life situations through performance-based tasks, for example, or development of certain skills. So, did that work? Well, up to you to see. These are the results 2 years after. So the points that we targeted clearly improved in terms of things about college, about school in this case, self-regard as a learning, self-esteem of the students, attendance to attitudes to attendance, and responses to curriculum demands. So we just wanted to share that with you and make sure that those strategies that really worked even after the pandemic, as you can see, those are the results for 2020, the first test that was conducted after or during the pandemic. So even if the results dropped a little bit, they were still better that before we implemented all these ideas. So I just want to share that with you, and then make sure that it's something that you can also implement in your school if you wish. And please feel free to leave some feedback on the chat if you wish. Thank you very much. Have a nice day, everyone.